Today in the crypto space, we see the market getting a bit of a dip, Bitcoin down to about 64,000, Ethereum right around that $3,400 mark, however, still up significantly from that rally that we got to the upside. The rest of the crypto space, a mix of green and red, but of course, some of these altcoins are doing very, very well and kind of going sideways. The question is, do we come down for a bit of a dip so that we can buy and accumulate before the next leg up? So you know what, let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with this market. You can see, generally speaking, that the overall market cap, has been rallying up pretty strong in the last little while. It's at 2.4 and change, 2.4 trillion dollars, of course. And, in the last little bit, in the last, let's say, 12 hours or so, we have been getting a bit of a pullback. Now, the trading volume continues to the upside, which is really good. A lot of market participation. However, do we expect a bit of a dip to confirm a little bit of support before we continue to the upside? And last night on the live stream, we did talk about the 4-hour potentially looking for a dip so that we can, get all those confirmations lined up, so that we can get a confirmation low, higher low, so we can confirm potentially a swing failure pattern where we can bounce and spring off of previous previous support that was once support. And that's the thing here. Bitcoin, at the end of the day, is looking for levels to bounce off of and potentially change the character of the structure, because we got to admit, we have been getting a bit of bearish price action for the last little while, and in order for us to get confident that we're getting that reversal, we need to see a change of character where we start to see higher highs and higher lows rather than these lower lows and lower highs that we've been getting for the last, let's say, a month or so. So this is something that we got to consider. And in addition to this, we have been seeing that the market has been giving us a fire sale, particularly with the altcoins. And of course, today I want to talk about Nexa. I want to focus on Nexa because Nexa was one of the projects that a lot of people were buzzing about. And then all of a sudden, the price came down for that lower low. And keep in mind, it's not just Nexa that came down. Remember, Nexa is a newer project, which means that there wasn't much price action looking left. And it happened to be that the bears had enough strength to give it the lower low. But the question is that do we actually get back into a level, get back to a level or a structure, build a structure where we start to see such projects such as Nexa continue to the upside or get that reversal pattern at critical levels, right? Now, some of these altcoins that came down for that lower low, generally speaking, didn't come down to an extension level like hitting the 1.27 or the 1.618 or anything like that. In fact, they just swept the lows. And to see it get back into a structure, get back in back test previous lows or previous price action and spring off of it would be super, super bullish. So this is something that we have to pay attention now, because as we see the market potentially reverse here, we have to take advantage of those dippers, of those major fire sales, especially the ones that came down to capitulation events or capitulation type price action, and then take advantage of it by deploying a bit of capital. Now, keep that in mind that I do not suggest betting the farm, going in with big bags on any of these projects, particularly ones that made lower lows, bear market, lower than bear market lows, essentially was what I mean, because literally the trend is your friend until the end. So what we have to wait for is big structural changes in the price action. price action is king. Oscillators are great to identify divergences and all of that, but ultimately that's where the confidence comes into the reversal indications of the price action change of character. All right, guys, let's move down. Let's see what's going on with the top 100. Then we'll take a look at Nexa. Of course, that's a project that came down significantly, but we do see a lot of these projects in the top 100 still doing okay. Now, we did get a bit of a dip in the last 12 hours as expected. Yesterday, we did talk about the 4-hour potentially coming down and giving us the last opportunity for a reset to oversold conditions. And potentially this is what we're getting right now, right? We do see a lot of the short-term pullbacks, nothing major, short-term. You can see these little dips at the tail end of this rally. Some of them not even doing it. Near protocol at the current moment is still pumping up 8% to the upside. Guys, if you missed out on my near protocol video a couple of days ago, guys, I would suggest still watching it. It would give you an idea of what I expect in the future. It would give you an idea of how I, was able to spot a great performer such as Near Protocol. And of course, the fundamentals and the overall positioning that it has in the market definitely gave me a lot of confidence, with that confluence. So not bad of a scenario there. Uniswap, what's going on with Uni? Got a bit of a rejection here, as you can see, more than expected, more than others here in the space. The main DEX on the Ethereum for the Ethereum network. What kind of concerns me is, what causes such scenarios where you do see bigger dips than the most, and significantly considering that everything's in the green and Uniswap right now is down approximately 4%. So the market tends to react sooner to the news. That's why a lot of people say, show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. The reality is I'm wondering what's happening there with Uniswap. I think a bit of research there could be very, very useful. What else do we have here? We have Pepe doing great, 26% to the upside. Great mover. Caspa kind of hesitating here, not really doing much, unfortunately, but it has done great things prior. So this is one thing that the market has already front run a lot of this. And the reality is I think a lot of the Caspians are waiting for the layer, the smart contract platform and all that good stuff. So bit by bit, we're going to be seeing some good things out of Caspa. Price action was really good. It's hesitating at a breakout to get into price discovery. So we should expect, maybe a consolidation for this cup and handle that it's current in big picture. Guys, let me know if you want me to do a Caspa video in the comment section below, and I'll definitely produce one, get one going for you guys. Let's continue going down. Stacks doing great, obviously pegged to the Bitcoin, Bitcoin price action. When Bitcoin does well, Stacks does well. When Bitcoin does poorly, Stacks does poorly. Stacks is one of those projects that literally leverages Bitcoin technology, so it should be a good one if the Bitcoin narrative does well. VeChain, getting up a pullback, but you got to admit VeChain has been a great gainer in this last little bit. It's still up 23%. The rest of the market is pretty much, going up, while VeChain is deciding to take a bit of a break. Totally fine, because it has done well already. It's not like Uniswap that has been going sideways for the last little bit and is still down 4%. That's not a good look. Whereas in this case, we know that VeChain has been rallying up, and it's pretty much VeChain's first really big rally here, which means that there's still a lot of speculation that we could get a dip or a deeper retracement. When in the first rally up, that's where people start to de-risk. On the next dip, on the confirmation low, on the next dip where we start to get a nice little bottom on that dip, that's where position sizes and more conviction comes in. So let's watch out here for VeChain, because maybe we should be buying the dip on VeChain on VET. What else do we have here? Render kind of going sideways. Still another one that, unfortunately already ran up significantly and is kind of going sideways. So any dips could be a big negative here for Render, but at least it's neutralizing it all. And, kind of going sideways is not a bad thing ultimately. And we keep on going down. You can see a lot of these projects have been doing well in the last little bit, with minor retracements on the tail end. As you can see, as we scroll down, you get little dips along the way, and I'm wondering here if the 4-hour is going to give us a better of a scenario. Now, another one that I don't like, if you can kind of see, is Multiverse X EGLD. I think this one is in a very similar boat to VeChain. Multiverse X ran up great here in the last little while, and then all of a sudden now has been coming down. EGLD has been quiet for so long, and then any rally up could be a scenario where people start saying, you know what, I'm going to be taking profit. I'm going to be taking profit because it's been so quiet for so long. I'm not sure if it's going to be a sustainable rally to the upside where we consolidate and then maybe get a continuation. That's the reality here. Usually the first moves to the upside still has a lot of individuals basically skeptical about the price action, and they de-risk because of it. Let's keep on going down. As you see, the market is looking looking great, great, great. There are a lot of good opportunities, but I'm still, worried about the 4 hour and what the 4 hour could bring. And that means the 4 hour could bring us a bit of a fire sale to accumulate at lower levels. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin. Let's take a look at what's happening here with Bitcoin. Bitcoin at the end of the day is doing, exactly what I expected, doing really good out of this divergence right into the upside, getting the nice follow through. Guys, it did change character. If you missed out on my video yesterday, a dedicated video on Bitcoin, honestly, it's actually doing really good because it's very predictable in the sense, right? In a sense, obviously, the market is never 100% predictable, but there's giving us a lot of data to get statistical probability that we eventually are going to get a change of character here. Why? Because we made a higher high. So that's a good look. Now the question is, are we going to come down for a back test to confirm this higher high with a higher low? If we start making higher highs and higher lows here, we start to identify the fact that instead of making lower lows and lower highs, we're going to start making higher highs and higher lows. And then we're going to start looking at this area as a potential pivot point. Now, it might be a bit early to classify this as an inverse head and shoulder. This shoulder, as of now, if it's going to happen, the neckline will be diagonal, right? A bit of a diagonal, which means that the right shoulder could be a bit shallow and then come back up, and then we'll start to look like a diagonal. I'm not going to draw that in right now because then the charts are going to get too messy, but we do have to respect this horizontal right here. We want to see that eventually we stay up above this horizontal. Whether we come down and, print a couple of candles, what we want to see is it get back up here somehow or stay above it and eventually spring off of it so that we can get that next impulsive move to the upside. And you can see that we're dealing with a very tight range nowadays, because if you start zooming out, the reality is Bitcoin is still within a structure. All of a sudden, it bounced right back into the structure after trying to come down for that lower low. It did come down for a slightly lower low, but it's a swing failure. It didn't get into an extension level or a major good level. Really, it was supposed to come down to about 452 to hunt this little liquidity, and the market didn't even have that strength to do that, and it didn't hit anything major. So the reality is that it came down. Now it comes back into structure. Maybe we back test, and that's ideal. Obviously, this is what I'm looking for. The 4-hour back test, confirm it as support once again, spring off of it, and then get back to the top of the range, hitting 72K. And that's the level where, guess what, guys, short-term long positions, whether you're over leveraged or big positions, trail up to stop loss, take a bit of profit, and then expect for a continuation to the upside. Maybe hitting about, it could be hit as high as about 85K, which would be a great bullish target. And of course, at that point, there's a lot of options. What do you do there? You keep on trailing up stop losses, taking profit, or rotating your gains into the altcoin market. And that's what I'm going to be looking forward to, is the altcoin season, obviously seeing altcoins rally. And if you look at the daily, at this point, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have this mindset that we are going to get a pullback, given the fact that we have a mean reversion play here on the momentum. Purple line is way extended over the yellow, which means that we need to come down to get them back together. And we do see the orange line, the volatility, very overbought, a bit concerning, because every time we're overbought, we do come down for a bit of a dip, we do come down for a bit of a hit, we do come down for another hit, and that way we can close the gap between the momentum and the moving average, and ultimately get that confirmation that we are going to continue to the upside with that back test. EMA to the upside, green histogram bars, bullish, slight bullish divergence, green dot, giving me a lot of confidence that the trend is currently to the upside, and we might continue here for a bullish continuation. But again, if we go on the 4-hour, the momentum is overbought, the expansion is overbought, volatility came down to oversold, which is very, very interesting here, guys. So you got to understand that if you're playing the oversold state on volatility, all of a sudden we could come down at just a little bit more, and we could get an entry and trade the momentum to the upside, because the momentum is clearly trending upwards, and then we can trade the volatility to the upside. So I understand if you want to be getting into a long position based on the 4-hour here, guys, we're almost there where we can say, you know what, we're confirmed all the way oversold, but it could be that the momentum is looking for a bigger move to the downside, and that's what's concerning to me. Now, we could come up for another higher high on momentum as well, get some sort of divergence, because at this level, we're not getting any divergence whatsoever, so that's concerning to me. A bit of divergence before we roll over, or at the end of the day, we go for another little bit higher, and that would be it. But think about it, based on the 4-hour, are you willing to get into a fresh long for a little bit more to the upside? upside, you know, it's about risk to reward. The majority of the move is already in from here, from the breakout zone out of this little structure that we got here on the 4-hour. And believe it or not, guys, we've been analyzing. We made this structure. We made this happen. Remember this volume gap that I covered here on the channel, where we were seeing weakness that we could break above and continue to the upside. Guys, it did it. So all of a sudden now, do we come back down and back test this area? And obviously that would be ideal. So the 4-hour, the daily, both in a scenario where risk could be taken here, and be careful here because risk management is key. But ultimately what we want to see is Bitcoin make that change of character. I know what I'm saying here is a little bit of data, statistical probability, no real certainties here, guys, especially after a fat green move to the upside like this. It's very difficult to start saying, you know what, let's get all in, because in the short term, we could be coming down for that dip and getting that confirmation. And I want to be able to deploy a bunch of capital, fat stacks of all kinds of different projects around this level to anticipate that bounce back to the previous highs, 72K for Bitcoin. And of course, I'm going to be looking into those altcoins. Now, if we jump right into the altcoin narrative altogether, we know that there are some of those projects such as Nexa that came down for a lower low. And let's talk about this for a second, because we have to understand the phase of the market that we're in. The reality is the phase of the market is the new projects that basically, you know, don't have much price action looking left. I know here we're looking at the bottom of October 2023, we came down and basically snagged the bottom, and the sell-off was real, right? We got a bit of a sell-off. We got lots of good volume accumulation, rally up, sell-off all into here. A bear flag continuation pattern, ultimately looked like an inverse head and shoulder, got a bit of follow through, rejection, and then straight back down with massive conviction, slow and steady sell off to the downside. Now, because we hit this level, I understand the fear. And there's validity into that fear. Let me zoom in here to show you why. It's because if we get rejected on this horizontal, which the horizontal currently represents the previous low, the invalidation of a bullish thesis, everything that was riding on Nexa as a recovery basically happened to this area. This was my last buy opportunity. I did not buy below this level. And at this level, I was like, look, my entries are okay. If we're going to come down to here and we go sideways and we get a nice structure, fine, I'll get in. But we didn't happen. We were dripping down. We got a slight sign of bullish divergence, nothing major. We came down to the horizontal. It looked good, but then ultimately we fell very quickly. The market was very bearish. And because the market was bearish, I felt no need to, or sense of urgency to be buying the dips here. And look what's happened. We came down, came back up, and tested that same area again. You can see that wick that we're dealing with at the current moment is basically testing that horizontal, and we got a rejection off of it. Now, this is what's important, is that if we continue getting rejection and we get basically a high right here, and we use this as resistance, guys, it's not a good look, because really that's confirmation that we're using the previous support as resistance. We're making a lower high, and it's very likely upon a rejection that we come down and test these lows. Now, these lows are also super important, because if we make a lower low, guys, it's over, it's done. You have to wait and keep on waiting. You got to have lots of patience, and then wait for a fat structure, and we'll talk about that in a second. But really, what we're trying to see here is what kind of bearish response we have. We can come down for a lower high, right? We can come down for a higher low. We can come down for a double bottom, which will all be good, but ultimately a lower low is not a good one. A lower low won't be good, because we're going to be looking for extension levels, and what an extension level means is that we're going to take the swing low, and assuming that this is going to be a rejection to the high, we're coming down to the 1.618, 1.27 extension level, which is a deep retracement at this stage, because look at it, it is in dip discovery, guys. So I understand the fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt. However, there is something to look forward to. If the market continues looking great, and we see a lot of, eyes on deck. And side note, guys, Nexa is getting listed on BitGet. That's the announcement. So understand that listings usually bring in volume and, bullish responses, which would be good. But also keep in mind, after the bullish response, there's usually a bit of a sell-off after the fact, after they get the listing. So just keep that in mind. So it could be a good one. Now, what I would like to see is this from a bullish perspective. That was a bearish perspective, getting rejected and coming down for that lower low, or at least least consolidating here to see what the heck we're going to be doing here, because if we consolidate here, it could be a bear flag continuation, or if we consolidate, it could be a structure for a reversal pattern, inverse head and shoulder, Adam and Eve, nice V recovery, rounded bottom, something right around this level with nice bullish divergence. But if we break above, back test, and then spring, guys, this starts to look very healthy, because then we start to use this as an inverse head and shoulder as well. And we start to look at this as a divergence, follow through, back test, confirmation, low, higher low, break through the 200 daily eventually, and then start moving to the upside. And then, you know what? We start looking at this as a beautiful swing failure pattern from this low, and ultimately a recovery or a reversal to the upside. So looking pretty good here, but would I be taking risk? Absolutely not. I would be waiting, guys. Unfortunately, I would have to wait to take risk. If we consolidate here, fine, fair game, right into here, we consolidate, we accumulate a bit of a bag, small bag, put a stop loss, and then that way, if it does come down for a lower low, guys, at least you're protected. If you get a structure that suggests pivot, fine, even more so, great accumulation, expect the structure, and then a recovery to the upside. And like I mentioned before, even a nice swing failure where we come back up, back test the previous resistance or previous support, and then bounce off of it, that would also be good. We can accumulate right above this back test, and you can see a back test around this level would equate to the pretty much the similar price that we are at the current level. You pay for confirmations, and sometimes you don't have to pay much. If you think about it, we're not too far off. We just want a little bit more, back test it and bounce to the upside. Nexa, ultimately has decent fundamentals. The community was very, very strong. I don't know. I'm not feeling much of a sense of strength in the last little while, but that calm before the storm could definitely be there. And we could definitely see Nexa wake up for, a nice recovery here. And if you keep it in mind, if you start zooming out and forget, really what's happening here, and all we do is get back to previous price action right around this area, guys, you're talking about a great move to the upside. And let's say hypothetical from here to here, more or less, you're talking about 500%. We break through this volume gap, you're talking about a bit more. We get into price discovery, you get it. We keep on going to higher levels. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. I'm going to be live tonight at 7:30 Eastern talking about crypto news and price action. Feel free to join and make any requests on any projects that you're interested in. I'll definitely put them in top priority. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.